All right, so we're going to start by going over the answers to the first worksheet, just looking at basic DNA structure. So if we color code this, we circle this, or we fill in the circle with a color, deoxyribose sugar. That should be this part right here, this clear area where there's no shading, because that's what attaches to the nitrogen base. So whatever color you chose here should be each of these white patches. That each of that is the deoxyribose sugar. The phosphate unit is the gray area, right? So each of these gray squares is the phosphate, because we know the sugar and the phosphate form the sides of the DNA ladder. And then each of these are the nitrogen bases, right, that form the rungs of the DNA ladder. So cytosine, you could color whatever you want, or, you know, and then adenine is a different color. What letter should we put here? G, because C goes with G and A goes with T when we're looking at DNA, right? So make sure you fill in the letters down this whole strand. So this would be G, this would be C. Can't see the other side of these. We'll go here. What should this one be? C, C, T, G, A, A. Okay. All right, so the two that are missing here then are thymine and guanine. Yeah, so make sure you fill those in and put their letters after them and color code them according to where they're located on the strand. All right, so then it says to fill in the blanks. We did that. We did the colors. Label one sugar unit and one phosphate unit. So you could put an arrow, and this is what again? The white is the sugar, and the gray is the phosphate, correct. Okay, and then circle the associated nucleotide. So a nucleotide, remember, is made up of a nitrogen base, a phosphate, and a sugar. So you could just circle one of these. If we just circle this here, including this phosphate, this sugar, this nitrogen base, we've just circled those three parts, draw a line, and that's a nucleotide. Remember, that's the repeating unit of a DNA molecule, is that sugar, phosphate, nitrogen base little piece. What are the bonds that hold the two DNA strands together, which is here? What do we call these bonds that hold the nitrogen bases together, keeping the two sides? Hydrogen bonds. Yeah, they're very weak bonds, hydrogen bonds. And then what do we call the three-dimensional shape of the DNA molecule? Double helix. Very good. How many base pairs are present in this DNA model? So if we look at the nitrogen bases, how many pairs do we have? 10 if you count these in the middle here, right? 8 if you only count the ones that are showing the bonds. So 8 to 10 is fine. Whichever answer you put is acceptable. And what is the term that means base pairing? What? Complementary base pairing. Yeah. There's not really a good answer for that. Complementary base pairing. And then if we look at the next set, some of these have information from the biochemistry unit, so some of these we don't have to worry about. But this first one, which one of these terms does not fit with the others? Glucose, right. The rest are all nitrogen bases, right? Adenine, guanine, thymine. And the next one, ribose, and that doesn't fit because why? What? Yeah, because the sugar in DNA is deoxyribose, so that would not fit. This is one that's from the biochemistry unit, so all of these are more simple sugars. This one is a complex sugar, so this one doesn't fit. You don't have to know that for our test. These, which one doesn't fit? Glycerol, correct, because a polypeptide is a chain of amino acids which form a protein. So those three are related. Glycerol is not part of that group. For this one, each of these is a disaccharide. This is the only monosaccharide, so glucose doesn't fit. This will not be on the test. So if you want to just cross off number 3, number 5, number 6, 7, and 8, These are all just biochemistry questions. So we'll skip those. Down on the bottom, we are going to talk about this. Not this first one. This is cyclic ANP, but this here is the molecular structure of ATP, adenosine triphosphate. So here's the 3 phosphates. So when it says phosphate, here's the 3 phosphates. Here's adenine, the nitrogen base, and here's the sugar ribose. And the high energy bonds are these little squiggly lines here. There's 3 of them. So these are the phosphates, these circles. This is ribose, this house-looking structure. And this is adenine here. So you can cross off A, scribble out that structure. We're not going to talk about cyclic ANP, but this is ATP. So that's just basic DNA structure that we talked about on Monday. And now if we apply that to these processes now, I'm going to go to this worksheet using the word bank. Let's start at the top. What is this structure here? DNA. And what is this referring to? The nucleus. And then what do we call this process? Transcription. And that forms what? mRNA. And what is this? Nuclear pore. Very good. And then what do we call this little dot here? Amino acid. What do we call this whole structure here? tRNA. And what do we call this growing chain here? Polypeptide. What do we call the 3 nitrogen bases on a transfer RNA? Anticodon. 3 nitrogen bases on mRNA is called codon. And this process that's occurring here, translation, and this structure, ribosome. And it also, I wanted you to color the cytoplasm yellow, so this is all the cytoplasm out here, correct? And inside of here would be the nucleus. You could color that a different color if you wanted. So this is a really handy reference in studying kind of how all these terms fit together in a visual way, because if you can see it, you're more likely to remember it, right, than just memorizing definitions. So from there, I'd like to spend a little time looking at our Quizlet. And let's see how you guys do with this. So you can go through this and review for the upcoming test.